Okay. So monomorphic VTAC. We have with a pulse. Hold on. Stable pulse. Amiodarone, 150 milligrams. Yeah, repeat as necessary. Unstable, with a pulse, it's the same one, unstable. Cardiovert, starting at 100. 100 joules, go up by 50 as needed.
PRA.
Monomorphic without a pulse. Defibrillate. Yeah, if it's mono, it's 360. If it's biphasic, it's 200. So you defib, if it's a monophasic, it's 360. If it's biphasic, it's 200. It's the highest that you can go. So just put the highest that you can go. Defib at the highest that you can go.
What is that? 360?
Oh yeah, we always do. I'm going to clarify that. And then amiodarone 300. Boy, you sure are going at an angle there.
I always do.
It's okay.
She just had Starbucks.
It's okay. Amiodarone.
They say that if you write and you slant up, it means you're more optimistic.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Said no one ever. Okay.
Come on. Amiodarone at 300 first, and then 150. The sicker patient.
I can't help it.
Then 150.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. So that's monomorphic VTAC. Polymorphic. No matter what. As soon as you see polymorphic, they need defibrillated at 360. Or whatever the highest dose is, if you have biphasic. Doesn't matter. Polymorphic is much more serious. So they only get defibrillated, no meds. I mean, you could give meds. You could give amiodarone, but they have to be defib. Okay, we're good for now. So that's the VTAC. Is that clearer now, everybody? Because people got confused. Yes?
Yes.
Then cardioversion.
Is there a stable polymorphic?
No, it's just one category defib.
They have no pulse.
No, they can have a pulse or not a pulse, but either way it's defib, no matter what. It's a much more unstable rhythm, so there really is no stable in polymorphic. Cardioversion is for patients that have pulses. You have to sync with the R wave. If you don't sync, you run the risk of putting the patient into VFib because they already have a beat. And so you want to sync the shock with the beat they already have. Okay? So we're going to sync it. And it technically uses lower joules than defibrillation. With defibrillation, yes?
I'm a little confused what you mean by cardioversion is for patients who have pulses. The patients that don't have pulses but have those like monomorphic VTAC would still. Oh, you would defib, not cardioversion.
Without a pulse is defib. With a pulse is cardioversion.
Got it.
Patients who need defib, we are not syncing with the R wave.
So it's kind of just synchronized versus unsynchronized.
Mm-hmm. And the amount of joules. Defibbing is higher joules. So when we're at our monitor over here, Oh, lead. Okay. So on a monitor, what's happening is there's a sync button. So when you're going to cardiovert, you're going to charge, press sync, and then shock. You turn it to whatever amount of joules you want. There's an energy select, charge, sync, shock. If you're defibrillating, you just charge and shock. That's the difference. Yes?
For your homework question, you had asked what's the difference between cardioversion and defibrillation. That's it, the synchronization is the difference.
And the joules amounts. That's it. Yes. When we defib, we don't sync and it's a higher joules. When we cardiovert, we do sync and it's lower joules.
Got it.
So this patient's heart rate is 217. So Sam, Funny Sam. What rhythm does this look like? Can you see from there? SVT. If I told you my patient has a blood pressure of 60 over 30, it's unstable, so what are you going to do? How much? The one next to him.
One on the right.
Start at 100 and go
Yep.
by 50.
Well, it's just something they started a very long time ago. Funny versus not funny. We also now have married versus not married.
It's funny and sassy.
Okay. But we also now have married Sam and unmarried Sam, so he's married.
That's easy.
Although sometimes you might think. Okay. So we talked about bradycardia. So on the monitor, there's a pacer switch here. And we're going to run through a scenario when I'm done. So on the monitor, you would just go to pacer and you would put in the rate. So like a normal heart rate, like put 80 or 70 or whatever. And then eventually the patient's going to need a pacemaker put in. That's somebody who has those heart blocks, which we're not going through. So we don't need to do that. So the only last two to talk about are PEA. Remember, obviously if you're in a hospital setting with a real patient, you can check if the patient has a pulse or not. If you're taking a test, you're going to be told the patient has a pulse or not. So pay attention and read, because it looks a lot of time like sinus bradycardia, and everybody wants to give them atropine when they don't have a pulse. So PEA, you do compressions and they get epinephrine. 1 milligram every 5 minutes.
You said PA, people often think it's what?
Bradycardia, because it looks like a, PEA looks like a rhythm that a patient should have a pulse for, but they don't. So pulseless electrical activity. CPR, epinephrine, 1 milligram every 5 minutes. Yes, Daniel.
The way you would know it's PEA is if you check the pulse.
And they don't have one.
But it looks like they do.
Yes. It looks exactly like a sinus rhythm, whether it's slow or normal, but they have no pulse. Then last but not least, oh, Sam.
During that 5 minutes of waiting for the other thing of epi, can you give like atropine or something during that?
Doesn't help. Atropine doesn't do anything if you don't have a heartbeat. So the last one is asystole. Flat line.
You know, to know what to do.
Yeah, check your leads. Check your leads. CPR, epi. Same thing as PEA. Except it's flatline. Despite whatever you might see on ER or the doctor shows or Grey's Anatomy or anything, you do not shock a patient with asystole. It makes them crazy when they do that. Tommy.
For CPR, what's the max epi you give?
You give 1 milligram every 5 minutes. There's no max.
Until they're either dead or alive.
Epi and then amiodarone for PA for asystole?
Is that?
Yeah, that's for ACLS. That's what this is. So that would be the second.
Sam,
That's what you give amiodarone.
there's motion at your front door. Just so you know.
Who is it?
I don't know. I didn't check. It just popped up. I don't know if that's important or not, but
Where's the?
oh, maybe his parents
You
are
can
on
also give
vacation.
amiodarone during asystole as well, if like nothing's happening.
Oh my gosh.
So remember, adenosine brings your SVT down. You gotta remember the difference between the two because people get them confused. So remember adenosine. Adenosine or adenosine brings your SVT down. Amiodarone is for all the other ones because adenosine will do nothing in a code. Adenosine, like adenosine, it brings your SVT rate down. Amiodarone is the other drugs for the other rhythms.
Yeah, PA and asystole.
Yeah. You can give it for everything else. Okay. Questions? Yes. Yes.
Cardioversion, if it synchronizes with the R wave, and if you don't sync it with the R wave, then you can put it into VTAP.
Or VFib or anything, yes, that you're trying to get them out of. It can throw them into VFib because you're not syncing with their normal heartbeat. What did you want me to say again, Marissa? Oh, okay. Okay, so let's run through a patient scenario.
It would be helpful to do those ACLS scenarios now.
Yeah. Oops. Okay, so I want, let's see, Jessica, Anna, and Abel. Come on up.
Oh, it's in the car.
Oh,
I went to go get it and then I forgot my book and forgot my
Jessica doesn't have hers either.
Anna,
There you go. Just, yeah.
Sharon.
you dyed your hair.
Able crash car right there.
Just flip it over.
You press the button. I hate when people have it flipped because I like to see who's a doctor and who's not and what they do.
Why, so you know how to act around them?
No. Okay, introduce yourself for video purposes.
Okay.
I didn't sign the consent.
Dr. Abel.
Yeah, right, it'll.
All right, so you guys are working in the ER. This is Joe, and Joe is coming in because he reported to his wife that he was having chest pains and palpitations while sitting at the breakfast table drinking his coffee. So the EMS has now brought him in, and he's presented to your ER. So they put him on your table, bam, and there you go. You guys have to take over. So tell us what you're doing. Okay?
Monitor.
Tap and show.
Yes, no, it's smoke over.
Do you need those yet? What else do you need, guys? Put him on the monitor. Are you going to talk to Joe? John? Whatever his name
Joe,
is?
do you have any pain? Okay.
Yes.
These symptoms before?
Where is it located?
When did it
So,
start?
okay, wait, you just asked me 5 questions. What else does the patient need to have on besides the leads? Okay? Put it on.
Vital. And vital, yeah.
Blood pressure? Put the blood pressure cuff on.
And if you turn the bottom monitor onto the word monitor and press lead 1, the rhythm will show up.
Thank you.
Peter, you're such a nice guy.
Oh, is it over here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What's
I got it. His blood pressure is 90/55. You have to turn the monitor
I get
on
a
to find
view of
that out.
everyone.
His SpO2 is 92.
That's the whole point of taking it from Sophie.
You can see the monitor too.
Is that right?
Yes, I thought you guys said.
You got one angle in, it's in.
Convenient spacing.
Okay, so the patient sets, are we paying attention? The SpO2 is 92. The blood pressure is 90 over 55. So what questions did you want to know?
Have you had this before?
No.
Does anything make it feel better? Like if it goes on a different side, it does
Nope.
anything?
Where's the pain located?
Right here. How long has it lasted? Let's see, I was eating breakfast around 9 o'clock. We'll just say it's 10 o'clock now, so an hour. So now you're gonna look at the monitor. What kind of rhythm are we in?
Is it supraventricular tachycardia?
So does supraventricular tachycardia have QRS complexes?
Yes.
Does it look like a normal rhythm? So does this look like
So it's
monomorphic VTAC? Okay,
So the pulse, you gotta take their pulse.
he's talking to you.
Oh.
So he has a pulse, but he's kind of like feeling a little lightheaded now. Is your patient stable or unstable?
Well,
Stable.
his heart rate,
Is your patient stable or unstable?
High blood, yeah. So it was 90 over 50, you said?
55,
So unstable.
unstable. He's hypotensive, the very first thing up there, okay? So, does anyone know what we need to cardiovert? This is the one thing I didn't tell you.
What do we need a cardio?
Yeah, how are we gonna cardiovert? Can we just, like,
30.
the pads that you had, yes. So get the pads that you had. So the pads tell you exactly where to put them. One is gonna go here on the right side of the chest below the clavicle. So one here, and one goes here.
It's the same as the defib pads?
Yeah. And there's a picture, so it kind of, like, to make sure they go.
They put them on the back for my patient, is that normal or?
Sometimes they do that too. Yeah, but we'll do the front and the side. Okay, so how much are we gonna cardioverт?
100 joules.
Okay, 100. So just walk me through the steps that you would do without doing it. What does it say?
Follow what it says on the right side.
Charge. Charge and shock.
So press how much joules?
Press how much
sync it, and then
joules.
shock.
Yeah.
Pressing
So press how many joules, then what?
charge,
Sync it.
Charge,
charge, and what?
then sync. Then what do you have to say before you shock?
Clear.
Stand clear, and then shock. Okay.
But, so this is on monitor, you would put it on DFIT, or would you,
Good job, guys.
would it be on pacer, or would it be on DFIT?
No, that monitor, I don't think that one has a sync button.
It
But we're just
doesn't. I
gonna,
was just
yeah,
looking
I
for
know.
it.
Okay.
We're just gonna walk through it. So we
Okay.
would switch it to the energy joules.
Would it be on, it would be on defib though, correct?
But I think there's an actual manual, but most of them say manual for the cardiovert. Yeah. So if you're gonna cardiovert, it would say manual. You would put it to the joules that you wanted, and on the test, they're not gonna make you. It's just you're gonna walk through. I just want you to tell me the steps that would have to be done. So you would pick the joules that you want. Then you would charge, sync, stand clear. Everybody puts their hands up so you see that we're clear, and then you shock. And then you can reassess at that point. You may or may not be taken out of the rhythm. You might still be in it, or you might go back to what that this guy's in right now. Sinus tachycardia, you fixed him. Yay. Yeah, do it again. Yeah. Pick,
Would you ever give
wait.
more?
You could give the 300 and no, just 300 and 150 and cardiovert. Okay, each one of you pick someone else to come up. Daniel.
Is there a limit to how many times you
Peter.
shock?
So this
No.
one, you're just.
Sammy, shot.
Abel, pick me one.
We're just
You go, Peter.
last time. Did you get numbers?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, they pick you? I don't wanna go with it. Can you go? I don't wanna go with you.
Here, can you put these back?
Good job, guys.
Do we have a book for it or all this stuff?
What does, when you go to defib, is there anything on the screen that says?
You're here too?
Jess, choose someone else. Should have someone else go. Marissa should go.
Why? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. So we'll go to defib, then sync. Then you can sync. Okay.
It's black.
Put this over there on the monitor.
Black. She said black. I
Here,
picked
she said
black.
Come on, guys. Serious.
Be serious.
So for this monitor, listen please. When you turn it over to defib, there's a sync button actually on the screen. So you can charge, sync, and then shock.
So you're fine.
Same as this stuff, remember?
You should be over here learning how to use this stuff. Okay. Huh?
Sorry, I'm gonna walk in front of you.
Because that's what she wants to be called. Oh, Miss B.
I won't brag about it.
Oh, stop. So the mannequin has to be hooked to this. And then we hook that to him, and then I can put it into whatever rhythm I want it to. Because I'm the person running the scenario. Yeah. Okay. So, who wants to give us a scenario this time? Somebody raise a hand. Now you're in the scenario. Can somebody make up one? All right, Joe.
Yeah, this 67-year-old female went on a jog and started having chest pains, was found out.
Okay.
Right to the ER.
That's what your kids for running.
Here we are. Amen, sister. Okay, found down. Boom, in your ER bed. Go to it. Patient is not responsive.
Patient is not responsive. We're to go ahead and put a pulse ox on, put the blood pressure. Can you attach the monitor too? There you go.
Do we say we're getting KG too? Like the full 12 lead? Not or not?
Not yet.
Check the pulse.
Pulse?
The patient has a pulse.
What kind of pulse?
A pulse.
One that's beating.
Okay. Leads are on.
What else have you put on?
Pulse ox, and then we have blood pressure.
Okay.
Gotcha.
No, I was gonna tell him. So the blood pressure is 88/50, and the pulse ox is 91.
Unstable, 2 liters of oxygen.
Okay.
We're gonna have to cardiovert because the patient's unstable.
You don't know what rhythm they're in.
Just cardio.
Well,
So, what do you have to press to get the rhythm to show up over there? Lead one.
obviously. Okay, we have polymorphic.
Polymorphic in defib.
So we need to defib as soon. So we're gonna rip these off so we can test the pads.
Okay.
Can I get the pads?
I'm gonna rip them off. He's saving lives.
Thanks, nurse.
So in real life, it'd be fair to say you gotta put the pads on to get a rhythm
Where'd you put your?
before.
Whoa!
Sam was touching it.
Wait.
I saved them, you're welcome.
Hey! What's the proper sequence?
I did
Charge.
But not seen.
Okay? Then what?
Joules, charge, C. No, joules, charge, shock. We're doing defib.
And you didn't pick your jewels.
Joules?
No, you didn't energy, so you didn't pick your.
Your energy.
Yeah.
I see, I already took it back to monitor, that's what's going on.
Okay.
Right.
Joules, and then what's next? Charge, and then what's next?
Clear and shock.
Okay, but not everybody's clear.
Yeah.
Sam, you almost died.
Yeah, you're trying to shock Sam.
It's okay, it's another patient. This is money for the hospital.
Okay, what's our rhythm?
Did you
Yeah,
shock
why
him?
isn't it? Yeah.
You have to flip it off.
Okay. He's shocked.
Okay, the patient's shocked.
Okay, now we have.
Now you're gonna reassess.
Now is in their monomorphic VTAC, so amiodarone, 50.
The blood pressure is 93/55.
So still unstable. So we're gonna go to cardiovert.
At 100 joules.
What did you say there?
90 something over 55.
93 over 55.
93 over
So
55.
cardiovert,
Where's
and then
the-
the sink is right here.
Oh, there's.
Show everybody where the sink is, please, so they can see you guys.
Sink is down there in the bottom right corner.
Bottom right
Yeah.
corner. Sync, rinse, repeat.
Where, Peter? Right there, Abel. Sweet.
Yes.
So we'll sync. Recharge, and then clear.
Especially considering the fact that they'd already been in polymorphic.
Is there a number you want us to know for that?
Just use your judgment.
Clear. Dog. Okay, what's our rate
Clear. Oh, they're still the same. So, go up on the joules.
Go up by 50.
Sync.
Don't I have to select the energy first? And then
That's 150. There.
clear.
So in reality, you're not gonna say like you if you're actually doing it.
Clear.
I'm clear, you're clear, we're clear, shock, not clear,
Yeah.
because you don't want to
Hey,
be that
John.
person that shocks somebody, and then you really do have two bases.
And I told you guys to stand clear, you put your hands up. Let's do it real, okay?
Mhm.
Alright, fill in.
So same?
Do something.
Okay, what is it now for show?
Same.
That's a monitor right there.
Amiodarone.
What was the blood
In
pressure
this
now?
house or in front of the
Yeah, blood pressure was low. 90 over
Is it
50.
still low? Okay, now.
Heart rate's
Hey, that's VFib.
147,
VFib.
80, 120.
That's a shot. VFib.
Yes, we need to defibrillate.
Charge the joules, sir.
Charge all the way.
Patient's now in VFib.
Charging.
Charge it.
Clear.
Clear, you're clear, I'm clear.
I'm clear. Shock.
Much better. What can you give your patient?
Epi.
How much?
One
How
milligram every
often?
5 minutes.
Alright.
Pulse started.
Again. Did anything change once we gained Epi?
Oh,
you killed him.
You know what I'm saying?
Airway.
Okay, you're done. The patient died.
You will kill
Better
our
luck next
patient.
time.
I feel like you lived, but okay. Oh, they went good. I think we're
Because the patient went into VFib. Okay, you guys pick one more group.
Miss
Boss.
Miss Boss and
Hey, the correct way to do it, right?
Oh, Raquel. Raquel, ah, damn it.
Here,
I did this in my sleep. You
It's okay, you got it.
No, you got it.
You're good.
Come on, guys, pick somebody.
Abel, you go. Okay.
I'm not going to go. Go up
Abel
there.
already went. Sim, come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they already have 3? Good.
Wait, who is it? Who's third?
Good job, Bernie.
Say it to my face.
Say it to Sam.
Yeah.
Why you try to say his name?
Well, the patient had switched to a different rhythm now, so you can still stay back at the 100 because it's a different procedure then. Who wants to tell us how the patient scenario starts off?
Daniel.
I am a 22-year-old male, and I got hit in the chest with a baseball bat.
Did you get cardioverted by
I got
chance?
cardioverted.
And then went into really fast, and now your heart's beating like crazy?
It's going crazy. I
Okay.
feel like I'm dying.
Okay, so he's now been put on your bed.
Look at the blood pressure, half a pulse ox. Sir, do you have any pain?
Yes, my chest hurts.
How long is it?
Since right after I got hit in the chest with a bat, my heart just went crazy.
Do you have any history, any cardiac history?
No.
Okay. Let's look them up. There's obviously something.
But I am allergic to amiodarone.
No, well.
We didn't have any heart problems.
No, he's not short of breath. His pulse ox is 95.
No, that's not the right side.
Yes.
You're, that's not the right side. White's the right side, just not the right spot on there. Nope, that's not the right one.
Remember, area at the top by the shoulders, let's go. Or else our monitor doesn't work. Huh? They haven't asked me yet. Do you have the blood pressure? Yeah. Oh. SpO2 is 95, blood pressure is 110 over 75.
He's stable.
That's okay. We don't need any more beeping.
Just blood pressure is normal.
And then what lead do you need this to be on when you're 3.1?
No, we don't need pads.
We're not using pads at all to get a rhythm?
Not with this monitor,
Okay.
That sounds like so blood pressure is stable. So at this point, we could start an IV or nursing could start an IV.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys have to start an IV.
We would ask the patient to verify that he's going to the doctor. And if that doesn't
Oh, what
work,
rhythm? Did somebody tell me? Okay. So we do the Valsalva, nothing happens.
6 milligrams of adenosine, rapid IV flush followed by 20 milliliters of saline.
Okay? So you give that, it momentarily stops, and then it goes right back into it.
Push, push.
Okay?
Okay. Now we're in normal sinus rhythm.
No, we're not.
Let's see. Good.
What's the rate?
Sinus time. Yeah.
It's good.
Okay. So what are you gonna do now?
Monitor.
Monitor. Yep.
Why didn't you give us that one?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we're good. Thank you very much.